Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Sessions Cafe, brought to you by Entrigue magazine. I'm your host, Keri Singleton, and today I have the honor of welcoming Judge Ronald Gregg to our show. Welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you, Keri. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's an honor to have you on the show. You're looking quite smooth as usual.
Thank you.
I'm feeling kind of underwhelmed here because I'm standing next to you or sitting next to you. But just kidding. I know you just got back from Vegas, and I wish I had been there.
Well, we could have used a celebrity such as yourself because there was a lot to be heard from the point of view as a political figure as yourself, and we had a lot of things that we needed to be brought out to the public, such as politics, such as black girl magic, such as how are we going to get past this particular problem in the political arena that we're confronted with now.
Right.
So we need somebody that is a luminary such as yourself.
Well, thank you. And just to be clear, what capacity, because you have several titles, what capacity were you in when you were there in Las Vegas?
Well, as you know, I'm a member of the Staten Island and of the National NAACP.
Yes, sir.
I'm the chairman of the Legal Redress Committee, which handles all of the legal disputes and controversies that the local branch would find themselves involved in. So we go every year to have what they call CLE, which is continuing legal education. And in turn, we're with the Resolutions Committee, which we field and we vote on new resolutions for the entire national NAACP.
Wow. Your resume is historic. You're the president of the Richmond County, New York, because a lot of people seem to think it's Richmond, Virginia, which is Staten Island. Richmond County, New York is Staten Island, synonymous with Staten Island. Black Minority Chamber of Commerce. Tell me about the BMC. I mean, I am totally aware of all the great things that the BMC does, but for those of us that are watching the show who are unfamiliar, what does the Black Minority Chamber of Commerce in Richmond County do?
Well, what our main mandate has been to develop and find a way to have black entrepreneurs infused into the main line of business throughout not only Staten Island, but New York State and the National Black Chamber Federation. We try to do not only education, but also we set up a think tank where we will help and develop guidelines for black businesses, entrepreneurs, and sole proprietors throughout the Richmond County area. Most interesting is starting August 1, we will now have the New York State Black Chamber of Commerce.
Oh, wow.
So we found that being in a federation of chambers throughout the state, throughout the nation, required a state enabling vehicle and mechanism. So we decided to collectively put together a think tank and find the best minds in New York State. And that's why we incorporated it as a 501c6, which allows us to have funding throughout the state and in turn mobilize things throughout the nation.
A lot of people don't know that New York City is a city of 5 boroughs, but each borough is also a county of the state of New York. It's actually the only city in the country that actually encompasses 5 different counties. And so Richmond County, which is also the borough of Staten Island, has the smallest percentage of black people in all of the city of New York. So is that why it's a little necessary or very necessary to have a Black Minority Chamber of Commerce in particular on Staten Island?
Well, specifically, a lot of people, they think of Staten Island as an outline of white privilege. But what many people may not know is that Staten Island has the oldest the oldest standing community of African Americans in the country.
That's true.
Sandy Ground was one of the first stops from the Middle Passage, where we had sailors and individual sharecroppers or whatever you want to call them, find a place to call their own. And it goes back to the 1500s. And what we find, even though we have a long-standing history in Staten Island,
Right.
We find that many of the majority population do not consider blacks as equal.
Right.
So even though you are a entrepreneur, you are an upper middle class individual, white privilege tends to try to keep you down.
Right.
That's why you need a substantial force in the entrepreneur area and also political arena.
Absolutely.
To try to give you a leg up. And that's what we try to do in Staten Island. And that's what we've been doing on a national scene. I'm also the general counsel of the National Black Chamber. So they empowered me, or I should say, they empowered our organization to bring forward a decided new direction for blacks in Staten Island and in New York. And that's what we're trying to do. And with your help, we hope to publicize more of a involvement with blacks in Staten Island and in turn in New York State.
How important is it that we celebrate, because I also live on Staten Island, we on Staten Island embrace Juneteenth. Juneteenth just passed, obviously, last June. Our borough, again, has the smallest percentage of people of color of any of the boroughs in New York City. So how important is it that Staten Islanders of color embrace moving forward the essence of Juneteenth?
Well, one of the things I'm proud of is that even though Staten Island has the smallest percentage of African Americans in the 5 boroughs, they had the largest turnout of Juneteenth events. In addition, it was celebrated not only by borough residents, but also Mayor Eric Adams. He came out to celebrate with our city council member, and it's something that has to be said about the motivation of African Americans in Staten Island.
Right.
Even though we're small in percentage, we had a big turnout in our endowment of what Juneteenth means to African Americans throughout the United States.
Wow, that's admirable, man. Unfortunately I was away. I was out of town, as you know, in June. But I wish I had not have missed it. I did attend Juneteenth on Staten Island. My first Juneteenth on Staten Island was the year prior, and just a lot of cohesion and unity, and I love that. I appreciated that the residents come out and they really, really do support the businesses and all the other institutions on Staten Island. You're also the senior partner of Gregg and Associates.
Yes.
A very accomplished brother, if I do say so myself. What kind of responsibility is it having your own law firm?
Well, we have the largest black law firm in Staten Island. Now that may be an oxymoron because there aren't too many black lawyers in Staten Island.
Yeah, correct.
But we do serve not only as the law firm to turn to when you have issues, police brutality, police harassment, but also when you have discrimination issues. And as you know, I'm a retired judge, and I sat on the Human Rights Appeals Court, and my area of expertise was discrimination law. And you will not believe how many in today's time and era, how many discrimination cases you have from Staten Island. You cannot see more than one African American political figure in Staten Island.
Right.
You cannot see more than one African-American female black judge in Staten Island. Outside of that, there are no other elected officials that are African-American.
Right.
And the other flip side of the coin, because we're talking about black and brown people, there are no Hispanic elected officials nor Hispanic judges on Staten Island. So that begs the question, is there diversity, equity, and inclusion in Staten Island? And I will tell you categorically, there is not.
But do you believe that just might simply be a reflection of the population in the borough?
I see that as a reflection of the inherent discrimination in the borough.
Okay.
We still have, even though in 2024, we still have not only covert, but overt discrimination. And if you are a black or Hispanic person driving in Staten Island in a nice car, you have a 50-50 chance of being pulled over by the police.
Wow.
Why? Because they still have inherent discrimination, which is covert in some sectors of the island, but the police, they do not hide their disdain for many of the successful black and brown people there. We just had the 10th year anniversary of a tragedy that happened in Staten Island.
I was going to mention that, Eric Garner.
Exactly. So how can we have a place of commonality, unity, where you still have a spot marked where a man was choked to death?
Right.
Only because of his color.
Right.
You know, we cannot underscore how much that pains me. My history, like you said, I have a long-standing history. My history stems back to being a police officer. And I know what it felt like to see the videotape, the newsreels of Eric Garner being choked out from a event that was outlawed by the police department.
Exactly.
And to see that there were no criminal consequences.
Right, none.
As a judge, that makes me quiver, thinking, well, now, thinking about the Supreme Court now, no, it doesn't make me quiver.
No.
I mean,
That's true.
It's tragic.
Yeah.
It's tragic.
Yeah. We're going to be right back after this break with more with Judge Gregg on Sessions Cafe TV. And we're back here on Sessions Cafe TV show with a person I truly admire, Judge Ronald Gregg. Brother, I know one of your top priorities, aside from all of the accolades and all of the things that you do in your professional life, is mentoring black youth and being really, really, really vocal for the business community on Staten Island. Let's talk about your connection with the youth of Staten Island.
Well, that's a combination of success and collaboration. Up until just recently, I had a linkage to the Gerald Carter Center.
Okay.
My wife was the administrator of the center before it changed hands. And one of the things I pride myself most on is mentoring. And what we have to look at is a legacy, some type of succession plan. And no matter how great individuals are, if there's no succession plan, if there's no legacy that you can give to someone so that they can carry it forward or bring it forward, you're not going to have successes.
Correct.
And
Yes, sir.
what we need to do, and one of the things I'm very, very happy about, is that I had spoken to the director of the 100 Black Men down at the NAACP conference in the convention. And we're in collaboration and talks now to bring to Staten Island 100 Black men.
Excellent.
There is virtually limited opportunities for Black youth in Staten Island.
Definitely. Yeah.
I had talked to one of your compadres out here about coding. His son does coding, and we want to set up some type of programming so that we can get Black youth, primarily Black male youth, into coding. Why do I say Black male youth? Because there are many things that you can find for Black females in
Right.
Staten Island.
Right. Okay.
And unfortunately, the lack of any articulable programs for Black males is lacking in Staten Island. So we need to
unfortunate.
find a way to bring not only Black men, but Black youth under the umbrella of educating and succession planning for Staten Island.
You have 30 years with the New York City Police Department. Depending on who you ask, you get a very different opinion of the NYPD. You can get an NYPD tourist hat from Times Square, or you can go to any number of neighborhoods in the city, and they'll tell you that they feel that the police department in the city of New York are barbaric. So, but of course, the truth lies somewhere in the middle, right?
Okay.
With 30 years with the department, what are some of your, I guess, most prolific memories of being in the police department, the largest police department in the United States?
All right, let me say this. The fact is, I think one of the greatest tragedies that occurred within New York City was in 1992. Let me just backtrack. I was fortunate enough to be asked by the great mayor, Dave Dinkins, to run his campaign in Staten Island.
Wow.
I did that, and one of the benefits that I received was that he appointed me to the New York City Department of Correction as their assistant commissioner and acting deputy commissioner. I ran their trial division. I was the youngest administrator for Rikers Island.
Wow.
But here's the point. In 1992, after Giuliani, the infamous Giuliani, and I use that word really, really prolifically, the infamous Giuliani took over as mayor. They then converted all three police departments, just for your viewing audience. Prior to 1992, there were
Okay.
three police departments. There was the housing police,
Okay.
there was the transit police,
Right.
and there was NYPD.
Correct. Three different
Different divisions, three different departments, I should say.
three different entities.
Yes.
Right.
They merged it for a money grab.
Wow,
That's
okay.
the only reason I could say that they merged the three departments.
Okay.
Here's the point. When I was a housing cop, and I started out in New York City as a housing cop, the image of police in NYCHA, in the projects, was totally different than what the image was of NYPD.
Well, be a little bit more specific. How were New York City Housing Authority police viewed?
Very simple. They were viewed as an extension of the community.
Okay.
Housing cops, our police precincts were in record rooms in the buildings.
Okay. So obviously they had close close relationships, or at least closer relationships with the residents of each development
Exactly.
they patrolled.
We, as housing cops, we knew who the bad boys were in the projects. We knew not only who the bad boys were, but who their parents were.
Right.
If in fact we had a large degree of discretion. If in fact we knew, like Keri, we knew you were a bad boy, we knew you did something, we had the discretion either to arrest you or take you up to your parents.
Take you upstairs.
And many times, the kids would rather be arrested than be confronted with their parents.
Exactly.
So we had a unique relationship with the community. And the transit police, they also had an interaction with the ongoing public riding commuters.
Okay.
So they had a direct relationship with people taking the trains and the buses.
Because they worked closer, I guess they worked closer to the transit customers.
To the commuters.
Right, exactly, yeah.
But NYPD, the only time you saw a NYPD cop was when they came into the community because of a call and they were an outliner. They were coming in to disrupt what they felt was disruption.
Okay, I get you. So they were seen as outsiders.
Exactly.
Okay.
They didn't know the buildings. They didn't know the projects. They didn't know the address or the family.
Right, exactly.
So there was a total different appreciation for housing cops versus NYPD cops.
Wow.
When they were merged, then everything was put into a melting pot. And you had what I called, white police officers coming from East Cupcake, Long Island, into the community.
Right.
Not knowing anything, not knowing people, scared of the people that they were supposed to serve.
Exactly, yeah, right, exactly.
So even though they have that image now, even though I try to explain what the average person doesn't know, I would just ask you, Keri, do you have any idea what a police officer makes after 5 years now?
Absolutely no clue.
$122,000.
Wow.
And you, me, all the people out there say, we don't want to have police because they will do this, they will do that. But the only way to turn the police situation around is to have brothers and sisters in the service, in the police department, turn it around. Where you see a disruptive or brutal type of police officer who you know should not be in there, hey, this is not the street where they say, I was going to use a term where they say, snitches get stitches.
Right.
Hey,
Yeah.
if you see a bad cop, we have now the Civilian Complaint Review Board.
Right.
Turn them in.
Right, exactly.
We need to have brothers and sisters out there in the police department trying to make a difference. And I hope that I made a difference during my tenure. And I think my reputation and my legacy will bear that out.
I don't think, if I may add my personal opinion, when we had the whole movement for various cities to defund the police, I don't really think that I think the situation was misconstrued among a lot of the populace, and probably conveniently so. I don't think anybody in their right mind wants to live in a municipality without police. I think the issue was that people wanted the money that was being allocated to the police department to be also allocated to programs that would prevent crime, as opposed to just focusing on the police, who, for the most part, their job is to act after a crime has been committed.
Right.
And yet I feel so many people try to misconstrue that and twist it and turn it to make it seem like you had a group of people all across the country that just didn't want a police department. That's insane. No logical person or group of people is going to not want to be policed. I think they just wanted some of the money to be used to assist with prevention.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so I don't know. I hope that one day there could be a little bit more cohesion between the police and the people that they are paid to serve. But that's just me. Before we go, I have to salute the fact that obviously you're on the executive board of the NAACP for Staten Island, because I am also a member, which is how you and I met. You're an awesome individual that just does so much and goes way beyond the call of duty. You and I have had conversations that were very personal, and I feel as a member of the NAACP and your brother that I can speak to you about really personal issues. A lot of kids don't have that. I mean, I'm not a kid, but a lot of people just don't have that. They don't have people that they can look to talk to. How do you feel about mentorship?
Well, as I said, that's one of the hallmarks of my legacy. And we need, and I'll use the term, young men such as yourself, such as Timothy Pirtle. We need you to foster that legacy, to bring about a youthful thrust into the NAACP, because without you to carry on what we've brought forward, there will not be a legacy.
Right.
Now, I will also tell your viewing audience, the Staten Island NAACP is the oldest NAACP in the 5 boroughs.
Really?
We will have our centennial next year.
Wow.
We started in...
I'm a member, and I'm learning this right here on the show.
We started
years.
in
Wow.
19... Oh, I'm sorry. We started, yeah, in 1925.
Wow.
Next year...
100 years.
Will be 100 years old.
The oldest in all of the 5 boroughs.
In the 5 boroughs.
Interesting.
And I wish I had taken the time to look at the legacy for all NAACPs. But there can't be anyone, not too many more, that are older than the Staten Island branch, because the NAACP was started in 1909.
Right.
So I don't know how many other branches were started between 1909 and 1925.
Right.
But we have a long-standing history, and I, on your show, I'm going to implore to you to come back, to bring that youthfulness to the association, because, I would love to think I'm going to be here forever.
Right.
But we need people to bring forward the legacy and the motivation to do better for Black people and brown people in Staten Island.
Absolutely. You're right. Yeah. That's interesting. You learn something new every day. That the chapter that I am a part of, my NAACP family, celebrating 100 years next year. And I think one of our focuses as a collective is definitely bringing in new members, new blood, new faces, new energy, and a new drive, basically, for our community. Yes. Judge Gregg, thank you so much for being on the show. I appreciate you. You have 1,000 hats, and every single one of them are hats that that definitely serve the greater good. How can people reach out to you on social media if they want to get in touch with you?
Well, the Richmond County Black Minority Chamber. You can find us on social media.
Okay.
You can reach out to the law office, which may be the easiest way. Just look for Gregg and Associates.
Okay.
We're the largest Black law firm in Staten Island.
Okay.
And you could reach out to myself, Ronald A. Gregg, on social media, and you can contact me, and that will hit me up on all my social endeavors.
Right. And he's very easy to talk to, as you can see, and very approachable. And I just want to thank you for your service. Thank you for just being you, brother, and I appreciate you. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for the invitation, and it was most enjoyable.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming on the show, man. Keri D. Singleton, Judge Gregg here on Sessions Cafe TV show, and I'll see you guys next time.